This is the 2003 First Act Stratocaster. It was a convenience store type of purchase before I knew anything about guitars. It was about $100 out of a box. It came with a very small mic, or amp, I mean. Note the poor quality here. The soldering joint is not shiny looking and fresh looking, it's dull. That's a sign of poor quality work. These are some very small springs. I put them next to my other guitar and they're short. The trim is stripped out. I got about one thread hanging in there. The humbucker, the volume pot, and the tone pot are total crap. They're just junk. Right out of the box, the high E string caught underneath just about every one of the frets. The nut is plastic. The only good thing on this guitar is the tuning gears. They hold pitch like nobody's business, and they're 12-to-1. This First Act is such a piece of junk it doesn't even have a serial number on it. It says made in China. As you can see here, I've got some bumpers on the corners. That's because it used to be mounted up there. Well, I've decided I'm going to try to put a little money into it and see what happens. One more thing about the electronics on this thing. This guitar sounds so terrible that First Act actually has its own amp, and it sounds really awesome on their amp. Every other guitar on the planet sounds terrible on their amp, and First Act guitars sound absolutely terrible on everybody else's amp. So one other thing about that guitar I forgot to mention is the fact that it's pretty much this kind of thing here. It's not solid wood, and it's not plywood, it's that chipboard stuff. And on that guitar, both sides of the neck joint have a fine line crack in them. I'll give you a little sound test for this First Act. Hear that? First of all, it won't even hold the dang wire. See? It's not even snug. Okay. Still hanging up on a piece of wood somewhere. I better mention, when I took this body outside to do some more welding on it, I'd actually left the bridge on, and the Allen screws, 4 of these Allen screws, just happened to come out without me noticing until the next day. Well, somebody was watching over me because I found all of them on the front step where I had been working on the body. So I recommend putting tape over them or taking the thing completely off when you're working on the body. The vibration will take the Allen screws, push them right out.
This new fit guard does not match a lot of the holes on this piece of junk body that I've got here, so I'm just going to try to match up one at least, and the rest I will mark to be drilled. Well, amazingly enough, none of this stuff matches up. Real shocker. One hole matches up above below E, and that's it. Still getting hung up on something. Feels like it's on the bottom somewhere. Feels like it's the switch here. Well, what do you know? You take off enough material and 3 of the screws match up. Out of 11. I had to use my X-Acto knife set to pretty much deface the pit guard. it on video in case I cut my hand up pretty bad or anything, which I didn't. So that was nice. In order to make this pick guard fit, I had to cut under the neck. This is, I don't know if you can see this, but there's a pen line right here. Well, this new pick guard was, it was up here, and so what I did was, when the neck was off, I put this pick guard in place and screwed it on, and I used a scribe, and I just drug it along the bottom of the pocket, holding it down to the pocket and pulling outward toward the pick guard, and it made a good enough line in it where I could follow it with a knife. My house does not ventilate well enough for me to do this in the basement, so I've been waiting for warm weather so it doesn't freeze at night. Been waiting for warmer weather so I can take this outside and do the conductive shielding paint. It's going to take about 4 days because it takes 1 day per layer, and then another day for it to dry up. So you got 1 day for one layer, 1 day for the second layer, 1 day for the third layer, and then that third to fourth day is the drying period for the last layer. Okay. Don't forget the gloves. And I tend to be a little sloppy when I'm trying to hurry something, or I tend to try to hurry things when I want to get it done, so I'm going to wrap it up with some newspapers. One other thing, I put a couple of toothpicks in the wire hole. I don't know that I'm going to need it, but I don't want to have to re-drill it trying to get through some gummy shielding paint or anything. Now when I'm all done with the shielding, I'll just use a warm wet cloth to get all that tape residue off. I wasn't doing anything fancy, I just wanted to get it to where it was covering most of it. Let's see, I'm going to need some water for the brush. I shook it pretty good, but I'm going to have to stir it and take it outside. According to the wife, the one who can actually smell anything, this stuff doesn't smell too terrible when it's curing, only when it's wet. So I'm going to let it cure overnight inside the house, temperature controlled. And then take it outside and do each layer, 2 more layers to go. Getting ready to solder the ground wire to the spring retainer. That was the ugliest soldering job I've ever done, so I'm not going to show you the spring plate. Just showing you that I've got it in place, and I'm about to solder the input jack, or output jack, sorry.
I'm hooking up the output jack now. I used a 15-30 seconds socket. It's not exactly correct, so I'm pretty positive it's metric, but I don't think I have that socket. So 15-30 seconds work. Alright, I'm at the point where the kick guard is going to stay on. I got them all in there loose, now I'm tightening them. There's a few spots where I really overdid it on the conductive paint. I can still see it, but I'll be able to scrape that off without hurting the finish. I don't know if it's if I aligned it incorrectly or if it's a manufacturing thing, but it's not perfectly square. The difference from side to side. Or if it makes a difference in the playing, plug the holes and move it, the screw hole.